Larry Barton, how are you doing today?
Andrew, everything is great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me on board.
So, where are you calling in from, Larry?
I am in my office in Houston, Texas, at my home, and I happen to be a native Houstonian. There's only about 12 of us, I think, left.
Nice.
Someplace else.
Cool, cool. Well, the weather here in Alexandria is great. It's very nice fall weather. Hopefully, I know Houston can get pretty hot. So I don't know what it's like there today, but hopefully it's getting a little bit nicer for you too.
Andrew, all weekend long, it was under 100. We had 70-degree mornings that grew to 92 fairly quickly, but the humidity's been low, and you can tell the difference in everybody.
Nice. Yeah,
Everybody's,
same here.
yep.
Hopefully in the real estate market too, right?
Actually, it's interesting. Yes, I do see something. I do feel some things, and I actually see some things happening.
Yeah, seeing an uptick in open house participation here. I don't know if it's the same there, but let's talk about real estate, right?
Yeah.
So we share something in common, Larry. We're both at Sotheby's International Realty. I have a team there as well, and I know you are in Sotheby's down in Houston. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
I do. It's called Martha Turner Sotheby's, and Martha Turner is our founder. Was our founder. I apologize for that. She's been dead a little over a year, and it is full of the nicest management and nicest agents you'd ever want to meet. Beautiful offices, located very centrally, actually about a mile from me, but I office out of the house most of the time.
Yeah, not bad. Our offices are like 10, 15 minutes away, but I'm doing the work from home kind of hybrid thing as well. And just being an agent, you're kind of all over the place anyways, right?
Exactly.
So before we talk about your brokerage and what you do there, I always like to have a good understanding of your real estate career, right? So how did you get into real estate? Everyone has their how I got started story. Can we hear yours?
So, yeah, Andrew, I can't tell a short story, so I'll do the best I can here. So 44 years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting Martha Turner. And she was selling some homes for my good friend of 44 years. And he introduced me, and Martha said my name, and then said it before she left. And for the last 42 years, right, before she got ill,
Right.
I would see her at fundraisers, I would see her at different events, and she would always remember my name. And so that was something that I've been told by other people was one of her trademarks. She didn't forget a face or a name.
Did you ever ask her? That's a pretty good skill to have, especially in real estate, because you network with a lot of people. Did you, out of curiosity, did you ever ask her how she was able to do that so well?
With me, my name is Lary, one R in Larry. And she told me, and I asked her, I said, how are you able to do that? And she goes, one R. I look at you, and every time I see you, it's like one R.
So she just found a little nuance, and she does that with everyone.
I don't know. I can't answer that for a fact, but I did know that's how she did it with me. Because I
Right.
was always impressed. She was able to remember faces and names. I'm great at faces, names, not the best. And I've done the Dale Carnegie thing where you repeat it 3 times, right?
Right.
I've done all of that. But
Quick, what's my name?
Andrew,
Okay, you got it. All right, you passed that test. All right, so you met Martha Turner.
oh, exactly. And she just was coiffed. She was dressed to the nines, looked like $1 million. And I said, she's so sophisticated. If I ever got into real estate, which I was in IT outsourcing for 41 years, right? So the two don't really mesh, except it was sales, right? Because we're all in sales, everybody just doesn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, if you have a wife, a husband, kids, a boss, you're in sales. You're selling somebody on something.
You're always negotiating, and you're always in sales.
Always. So I just said, if I ever was in sales, I would like to work for a firm that was so sophisticated and had such a great reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So 41 years with my company, and the last couple of years I wasn't the happiest camper, but they introduced a bunch of new technology. And I kind of said, I think I can learn this technology. And it was during COVID, and you weren't going anywhere. So I learned how to record videos. I learned how to do different things using
What
technology.
technology are you referring to? And for real estate related or just in general?
For IT outsourcing.
Oh, IT outsourcing. Okay,
Working for my other company,
gotcha.
and I learned all these different video things. We were sending videos to customers, our customers at the time, introducing ourselves, like a cold call, but a
Mhm.
video that you would send via email.
Gotcha.
It's a great tool. So I
Was it
learned
BombBomb by any chance? We're using BombBomb?
exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, we've used that before. Yeah.
It's a great tool. Actually, there was one other one, I can't remember the name of it, but long story short, during COVID, I began to listen to all these podcasts, and I came across some podcasts that were about real estate. So I told my life coach, my shrink, by the way, his name is John Vincent. My life coach is Dawn Nelson. If anybody needs either one, let me know. In fact, if you need anything, I'm called the connector. My friends call me the connector. So I went to my shrink and I said, hey, John, 41 years, it's time to retire. And he said, no, you can't. I said, no, I got it covered. I've been to my financial people, I'm covered. He said, you need people, you need to be productive every day. It's part of who you are. And I said, okay. I got home, the phone rang. Look, Andrew, no kidding, the phone rang, one of my dearest friends, Beth Sanders Moore. And I said, hey, Beth, what's going on? She goes, guess what I did today? No idea. She goes, I got my real estate license. You did? How'd you do it? Aceable agent. I got online, I signed up, I started taking classes. My mom, who was 91 at the time, she's left us, she was 90, she's 94, well, would have been 95 now. I said to her, she said to me, she goes, you have this great smile. What's going on? I haven't seen you smile in 2 years. And she goes, if it's legal, just keep doing it. If it's not legal, I don't want to know about it. Right? So I just kept taking the test, and I was learning these things. And I'm a people person. I love people. I love making things happen. I'm Mr. Customer Service. That's what I love to be, a connector. And that's what the real estate was all about, all the tests I was taking. So I got my license, or just before I got my license, I picked up the phone, and I called one of my longtime friends, Alan York, and I said, hey, Alan, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. Is Frank around? And he goes, Frank's right here. So Frank is his husband. And I got online. He was already with Martha Turner, a lot more experience than me.
Okay.
I said, hey, Frank, this is Larry. I'm about to get my license, and be my partner. I said, what? He said, be my partner. I said, okay. That sounds like great. That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Literally May 24th of 21, I celebrated a year with Martha Turner. May 21 of 21, I retired from my company. So I kind of overlapped a little bit.
Yeah.
I worked nights. I didn't take away from my chapter one. I gave them, their fair share.
Right.
And then I did open houses and things of that nature. And Frank and I have been together since then. And, it's I know nobody's going to believe this, but it's like magic. It is pure magic. It's working really well.
That's awesome. So, out of the blue, you get this phone call, fate, whatever you want to call it, and then you did dual career. I similarly, before I did real estate full time, I was actually right out of college for 7.5 years. I was a nuclear enterprise human capital analyst for the U.S. Air Force from '09 until 15, but I started our real estate team in 13. So I did the dual career for about 2 years. So I know what it's like to have, you're juggling two separate roles and responsibilities, and it's tough, but it was worth it for me too. I never regretted a day in either, right? But to make that move, it was a big day for me. I'm sure it was a big day for you to be able to say, end of one chapter, start of a new chapter. So that's a great story. I love that.
Andrew, can I share a little bit more about that?
Sure, go ahead.
For anybody that's had a shrink before, the best thing I've ever done, right? So for 26 years, he was our marriage counselor, and then he, when that didn't work out, I just said, I want to be the best Larry Barton I can be. And I don't care what it costs or how long it takes. I want you to help me with that. And so he certainly has done that. But what he told me was, he goes, we need to take 15 months and do this right. So we had the 3 months or 4 months of studying, right, which I would do. I would take vacation and I would study, literally 8 hours a day until I was brain dead.
Right.
And the program I took, you could take the test over and over again, so it gave you lots of practice.
Yeah.
And it was audible as well as visual, so you could learn both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was right. To transition and do it well, you need some time, because I knew I wanted to do something.
Right.
I knew I needed to be with people. I knew I needed. I like to make money. I love competition, not competition. I love the numbers game. I love the numbers game. I'm not an outwardly competitive person.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to achieve, but some of that has been tamed down over the years with therapy, I suppose, and maybe the fact that I'm 65. But I like to win, right? Who doesn't like to win?
Right.
Winning was getting this new chance on life.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to form really personal relationships with people and do something that I've always done, which is customer service, but in such a personal way. I mean,
Right.
When someone comes to their home and you're selling or buying homes for them,
Mm-hmm.
that's the most personal I think you can get. So I would suggest to anybody, if you're making a transition, number one, call me. Number two, I've got a podcast that's out there on Elite Publishing or Lary Barton Realtor. You can look it up on YouTube and look up the transition YouTube or a podcast, and where I talk about it a little more in depth. But take the time to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all need to be needed. We all need a purpose to get up in the morning. And I love what I'm doing now. I am living my best life working with people, and it's called real estate, but I call it working with people. I call it making dreams happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think I'm in complete agreement too. I didn't just quit my job one day and then get into it. Like for 2 years, I overlapped. But for anyone out there that is doing a role and they're unhappy, want to make a change, whatever the case may be, have a little bit of planning around doing so. But I never regretted it, not for 1 second. And it was completely worthwhile. It's opened up so much opportunity for me. I mean, this is funny, but like if I didn't do that, we'd never be talking today. You know what I mean? Like I met so many people just because I decided to take a risk, take a chance, giving up a cush government job. You had a job that you were at for 40 plus years. It's tough. And I mean, even when I was telling my parents and my friends, I'm like, hey, I'm going to leave the government and go do something else. They were like, oh my God, why would you do this? You're doing so well there. And I was moving up the ranks and all this stuff. And I'm like, there's also something about adventure, but building something for yourself too. Don't get me wrong. I loved all the people that I worked with there. Still in touch with some of them. And I learned so much from each and every person that I came into contact with. But there's something to putting in the time, money, effort, sweat equity, and building your brand, building your business, building your own, your own name out there. That's exciting for me. I love that part of it.
I do as well. Now, did I hear you say that you have a team that you've built, a real estate team?
Yeah, so we're the McDonald Becker team in the DC, Maryland, Virginia, DMV area. So you're at Martha Turner Sotheby's. We're at TTR Sotheby's International Realty. We have about 12 offices up here. So one of the reasons why, kind of the same thing with you, we looked at the market up here, and we were at the different brokerage before, but we were like, hey, we want to be associated with the best. Who are the best? And there were two. There was another one and TTR Sotheby's, and that's how we kind of made our decision. And we've been there. I think we moved over from our other brokerage in 17, 18, but we've been there ever since, and we've been very fortunate and lucky to probably go through some of the same experiences and networking that you have at your Sotheby's location. And if I ever get down to Houston, hopefully I can come by and meet you guys, which would be cool. But yeah, that was the reason. Same thing probably that you went through. But Larry, let's take a step back now. We know kind of how you got into real estate and how you wound up with your partner, and building your company that way. But a lot of people in this environment, especially, the kind of the industry right now is struggling for leads, struggling for listings. It's tough, right? Like 60,000 real estate agents left a few months ago, and are out of the business now. But let's talk about how you're getting business now. But before we do that, how did you get your first deal? Do you remember that? Where it came from? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm blessed, Andrew, from day one. And I will tell you that this would not be the time of my life if I didn't have Frank York as a business partner. Because I would have somebody as a business partner, and they might be good, they wouldn't be Frank. But I never wanted to do this full time, right? I like vacation.
Right.
When I got into it, that competitiveness was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Namaste is not
Yeah.
so namaste anymore. It's like, hey, let's make some deals happen.
Right.
So I get a phone call from a dear friend in Dallas, and I've known for 30 some odd years, and she said, hey, she goes, my husband and I have grandchildren down in Houston, and we want to get a second place in Houston. We keep our place here in Dallas, but we want to be there in Houston. I said, awesome. So Frank is amazing. Literally, I was like a month into the job, maybe 2 months full time, and Frank put together 7 houses, whammo. We went and all 7 of them. He timed it so we arrived just perfectly, each one of them. The first house we saw is the one about 3 weeks later they came back and bought.
Nice.
And they're in it now. And what they tell me is, I've been over there many times, Frank and I both have, that it's like vacation. It's like vacation. It's a townhouse, so there's not much maintenance. There's
Right.
no, and so when they come here, it's grandkids, or they're in the Heights in Houston, which is a really fun part of town. There's Christmas lights, a parade. They have night lights, white nights in the Heights. I think it's what it's called. Everybody dresses in white in the middle of the summer,
Cool.
and they roam around town. They go to different restaurants. It's a great neighborhood. So that was the first deal, right?
Okay.
But I'm a native Houstonian, right? So
Right.
it happens very organically here. Frank has only been here a few years, but through his husband's contacts, and he's really great at connecting. Staying in touch with people. His cat sitter has brought clients. So you find them everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You find- and it's all about trust. I trust Frank. Frank trusts me. Our clients trust us.
Right.
And I always tell them, and Frank does as well, you get 2 for the price of 1. Right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but Frank and I split everything down the middle.
Okay.
Right? And in the beginning, I was like, hey, Frank, you're bringing in stuff, and I don't feel good about this. He goes, it's going to work out. And it has. And he is a very gracious gentleman to have done that.
Yeah.
It has worked out.
You should. I know you've said this, but I also just second. I've also had my real estate partner's also my best friend that I've known since 7th grade. So for those of you out there that have had a partner like that, regardless of where you met or how you found them, if you're still together, I feel super fortunate and grateful to have that relationship, because the opposite is true as well, right? There are some teams out there, some partnerships out there that for whatever reason, like a million different reasons, they don't have that trust, they don't work out, they can't vibe, they just don't get that natural flow that I can say I have with my business partner, Dan, and then you with Frank. You click, right? You get along, your dynamic is there. So I feel exactly how you do, and how fortunate you are to have someone that you can call your partner, that you look up to, that helps, you both help each other, he helps you and vice versa. So that's awesome. So talk about the dynamic of that. It sounds like when you first started, he was a little bit more well-versed than you. He kind of mentored and trained you. Talk about how that works and then your current dynamic. I know you split things down the middle, but how are you servicing your client, bringing your clients the best service possible? Are you also splitting duties and roles and responsibilities? Can you talk about your dynamic with your partner?
It is, once again, I know nobody believes this. Our management has seen it, right? In fact, I went to talk to one of them in the last couple of months, and I said, look, there's all this talk about partnering and registering with the state or something, and he goes, look, what you and Frank have, it's working better than anything else, right? And so just continue to do what you're doing, right? And this is 2.5 years, almost 3 that we're talking, right? And
Right.
it continues to build and build and build and get better. But Frank and I are almost interchangeable, right? He knows my strengths. I know his strengths. He knows my weaknesses. I don't like paperwork. I don't like operations. My thought
Right.
is, if it's not making you money and you don't enjoy it, outsource it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just outsource it. Now, Frank is a whiz. He can do a listing paperwork in 20 minutes. It may take me 2 hours, right? And
Yeah.
so we found each other's strengths and we play off those and we cover each other on our weaknesses. But when he goes out of town, he's introduced me to the people that he's working with, and generally it's done like this.
Mm-hmm.
Calls, we generally go together, right? Because, I have my way of looking people up on LinkedIn and all the social media. Frank he goes with his gut and other social media information, and we
Right.
get a lot of information on the customer to be able to feel like we know them, or we actually do know them, right?
Okay.
The other thing that happens is, if Frank's, something comes up for me, and I say, Frank, I can't do this showing today. You've already met Betty and Bob. Could you do the show? Not a problem. So it's this wonderful way, because life happens. Emergencies happen, people get sick.
Right.
So it's amazing how we can cover for each other. One of the beautiful things is that when we may not have any listings, right? May not have none. But I know that Frank is busting his rear to find some. He knows I'm busting my rear. We still take time to go to the gym, right? Separately to different gyms, but we take time. It's on our calendar. We share a calendar, so we know what the other one's doing, not to watch, but
Right.
to schedule appointments.
Yep.
So I can see what he's doing. I know I can schedule an appointment with a client, and I won't step on his toes, and he can do the same thing with me.
Yep.
So I think that's part of the beauty of it, is that sharing information and knowing that your partner is doing everything they can to bring business in and to keep everybody afloat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a few things I want to kind of unpack there. You mentioned leveraging, right? So how you can become more efficient, and so can he and your team can, right? And then your calendar. I am a big proponent of what I'm learning from one of my coaches calling it the perfect week. Really planning out your calendar to make the most of your time. And then the big piece there, and we'll kind of circle back to each one individually here, but the big piece is, say you're a real estate agent out there and you don't have any business, the heck are you doing to get business? So that's the last part that I want to talk about. But let's talk about your calendar first. So my calendar, for example, I have dedicated times to do administrative pieces, to do focus pieces, to do things like this, for appointments, etc. Walk us through what a day for Larry looks like and how you plan your day and how you make the most of your time.
Well, I'll do. So we're the same. Frank and I put our personal things on there as well as our business things as well. We put vacations, all of that. So the way I start my morning, number one is, everybody's gonna think this is corny, but before my feet touch the ground, I go through gratitude. And some days it's 5 things I'm grateful for. Some days it's 25 things I'm grateful for. But there's always something to be grateful for. So before I get out of bed, I go through call it a prayer, call it whatever you want to call it. But I pray about the day, and I go through all the things that I feel blessed about.
No, that's great. I actually just got into this lately, so I'm glad that you brought that up. I actually got a gratitude journal. It's called the 5-Minute Gratitude Journal. And I was actually telling my buddy a couple weeks ago, I didn't used to do that kind of stuff. Like I was aware of it, and we do it. Like I've got kids, and we have dinner, and we talk about, hey, what are you grateful for? That kind of thing. So we say it out loud. But then I started kind of went down a rabbit hole, and I got a journal, and I started doing it. I wake up at 5:30, and I do journaling for about the first 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. But I started writing, and it was like positivity, positive thoughts, positive affirmations, that kind of thing. And I noticed like a really big difference in my mood. Like everything just started hitting me differently. Before it was like a mix of negative, a mix of positive, a mix of I don't even know how to feel, neutral, whatever. But I started writing down, I'm grateful for my kids, just little things like that. But writing that over and over again really reframed my brain and how it works and how it thinks. Now it's just like positivity all day long. Of course, I still get like angry and upset and that kind of thing. I'm not saying I never have a negative thought ever, but
Right?
yeah, I mean, everyone is obviously, but you'd be surprised. And I think if for those of you out there that are thinking that there is no like alternative solution, just try it. Try it for a week and see how I'm like obsessed with it now. I have like a gratitude journal, and I have a free journal that I write just, who am I gonna get to build my pool, and just things that I want to do, my goals and things like that, visualizing. So you doing that every morning, I don't know how long you've been doing it for, but what kind of positive changes in your life are you seeing from it?
So I'm a very spiritual guy. Right? I always have been. I think over the last 25 years, it's become even more so. But so I'm going to say the word God. It's God, therapy, and yoga that get me through the day, right? And by yoga, I mean exercise, right?
Right,
I do
right.
a lot of yoga, but I do like exercise. The journaling was my shrink's idea. So I'm 3 years into therapy, maybe 4 years, and he's pushed and pushed and pushed about the journaling. And I go, okay, John, what do I write? And he goes, write how you feel. And we uncovered, I wasn't really sure how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really turning point. How many people actually know how they feel? How many people can actually take something that made them angry or upset them and trace it backwards and go, oh, those two things happen. Oh, I get it. That's what happened. So John
Right,
taught me how to do that. He also
right.
taught me how to look at situations and take it away from me and put it on the person and say, unless you've really hurt them, unless you've kicked them in the stomach,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably not about you. It's probably about something going on with them. And I
Right.
think we talked about this the other day, but for instance, you get in your car, for those that are not blessed like us and work from home, but you get in your car and you're driving to the office, you've got coffee, you're trying to do all these things and juggle all these things, there's traffic, and somebody blows the horn, okay? And so let's say 7 people hear that horn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's only one maybe that whoever was blowing at, but 7 other people heard that horn, and each one of them went, "What? I didn't do anything," and each one of them develops an attitude, right? Now
Right.
they're angry. The one that blew the horn was already angry. Now other people are blowing horns. By the time those people get to the office, they I was going to say another word, but they've upset other people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they get to the office, and those, let's say, 10 or 12 people now make others angry. So, I mean, it's a horrible rolling ball.
Mm-hmm.
But the same goes for, hey, have a good day. Hey, give a smile away, right?
Right,
Don't
right.
blow the horn. Let them in front of you. Do a namaste.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay. This 30 seconds here is not going to make or break me. Yes, if I'm going to be late, I should have left earlier, right?
Yeah.
So all of that has happened over the last 25 years for me, that I don't automatically assume that somebody's after me.
Mm-hmm.
They may have had a bad day. Maybe I can comfort them. Maybe I should give them a smile. And so the journaling part, Andrew, I applaud you. You're a young man, and I'm so glad you started early, because if you take it out of here and put it on paper, number one, it doesn't seem quite so bad. Number
Right.
two, you can generally make sense of it. By the time you've almost completed the sentences, you're like going, wait a minute, that, that's not what I was thinking. Or in your case, you're writing the positive things that you want to do for your career. And
Mm-hmm.
when you write it down, you're like, I hadn't even thought of that before. That just came to me. This is a great idea. So I think that journaling can take negative things out of us, and it can also produce really positive things out of us and get it out of your system.
Yeah, it actually does. It does that, but in addition, it gives me a time to go back and reflect as well. And I read every Sunday night when I'm kind of planning my perfect week for the next week. I go back and I read through it, and I realize what I was upset about on Monday or Tuesday. Why the heck did I care about that? Or I don't even remember half of the stuff. So that's like the one big thing. And I've learned to kind of let a lot go because I tell my kids all the time, like, choose your hard. You can either not do something and it's hard, or you can do something that it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to not beep the horn and to just go about your day, but it affects you. Like, you should think about how it affects you if you beep your horn versus not beeping your horn, right? But I choose the latter, and then the positivity that I'm getting from not choosing the wrong hard for me personally is just that. And then the second thing it does is I have a section in mind, so mine comes with like pre-built sections written down, and it's like, what could you have done differently today that you can think about tomorrow? And that kind of gets me thinking, like, I didn't really focus enough on X. So tomorrow, that's the first thing I'm going to be doing. So it also clears my mind. A lot of people are stressed and anxious for the next day because they might not know what they're doing or getting into. But I found through journaling, it organizes your mind and your thoughts, right? So you're a little bit more at ease going to sleep. You're a little bit more at ease when you wake up because you know exactly what it is you're setting out to do. So I'm going to keep doing it. I love that you do it as well. So exercise and journaling are something I do very early, and I also try to get up early too before all the chaos of emails, kids, etc. So that's the first hour or two on both of our calendars. So what do you do next? Where do you go from there?
I've got to have my coffee. So I go downstairs, I have my coffee, and no matter what the weather is, unless it's raining, I've got to go look at my garden, right? So I go out and look at my garden. I come back in the house, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I want nature, right? I love nature. I come back in, I go upstairs. I've got a fairly large sitting room in my bedroom, and it has a sofa there. I go sit in the sofa. I've got my coffee. I've got my iPhone, and a charger, of course. And I sit down with my glasses and my iPhone, and I start doing some. Number one, I send a prayer out to about 65 folks. It's a prayer I copy off of the internet, and it's a very short one, and I send it to about 60 or 65 folks that have come into my life over the years. They're either dear friends or some are just acquaintances, but when I send them, I get different reactions. Sometimes I get no reaction. Sometimes, which I'm not looking for one, but I get some like, how did you know I needed this today? Right? Boy, this is the perfect, whatever it is. So that's part of my, I guess, my social media ministry.
Right.
But then I do my own social media. I love social media. I have a social media guy that I hired for Instagram. So he works on my Instagram, and so Frank and I play off of each other. Frank does some great Instagram stuff. We use his, he uses ours, and I do a lot of videos at home. And
Okay.
the social media guy can do all that. But up there in the bedroom for about the first hour, I reach out to at least 3 or 4 agents that I don't know every day, and friend them on either LinkedIn or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And the results have been phenomenal of people reaching back out. I share with them my information, and it's created some really nice conversations with different people in the Grand Caymans, one in China. I mean, it's been very, very interesting. Then I do some posts on social media, and then it's time to go get that second cup of coffee and come in here into my office. And it's either, we have something called Active Pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So they create these wonderful messages to send out. I'm on the board of a couple of charities, And our marketing department is so phenomenal, and they support charity work so much that I can send them one of the flyers that says, touch here if you want to register, and they'll create something for my charity that I can send out to my either sphere of influence or
Mm-hmm.
to other agents. So that the morning kind of looks a little bit like that. I look at Active Pipe, see if we have any open houses coming up. And so I've taken on that role. I like that. I like the marketing part of it. And
Okay.
Frank does so many more other things that make our business run. But that's one of the things that I do like. And he is great with ideas to share those ideas with me.
Let me ask you a question around the social media. I know I wanted to hear how you get your business. Is that a big part of how you get business, or is that the only part? Like where your sources coming from?
So Andrew, I took Ninja. The first maybe 5 or 6 months I had been on board. And I took it here in Houston. I met 50 wonderful agents from really around here in Texas, most of them from Houston, but many from Dallas and San Antonio. Love all of them, actually love all of them, but made some really good friends in San Antonio. And so the social media, I can't tell you what the return on investment is. In my mind, I've given it a year.
Mm-hmm.
It started in February. I've given it a year in my mind to pay
Okay.
this monthly fee where this individual works with me. And we do some very creative things. He's not a company. He's an individual. He's an actor, director, film editor, and all these things. And so he's in LA,
Right.
so not close, but he gives me great ideas on how to make my videos. And so I'm learning a lot and I'm having fun. ROI, don't know. A
Okay.
lot of people are seeing those. I know that my life coach, Dawn Nelson, has gotten 2 clients from another podcast that I did. People have
Okay.
reached out to her, which I think is awesome. In fact, you and I kind of talked about this the other day, and I think we have a similar philosophy, is that in life, success is watching other people become successful and knowing you had a part in it, not
Right.
telling everybody and their brother that you had a part in it, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
In social media, what Andrew, his name, I'm sorry, his name is Eric. Sorry, not Andrew. What Eric and I work on is branding. So within the first 15 minutes of us meeting, he said, "You're going to be the inspirational realtor." That's what
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be. We're not going to say that. We don't need to. All your posts are inspirational. They're uplifting. Most of them are not about real estate. They're about gratitude. They're about events that are coming up. They're about open houses. So they are some real estate, but not pushing mortgages or any of those things, which those are all great things. It's just not the brand that I'm sending out.
Right.
Also tells me that my brand should be consistent with my Facebook and my LinkedIn. So
Mm-hmm.
I've done that as well. I don't really like negative things. My friends call me Pollyanna, right? The girl that wore rose-colored glasses, So
Right.
I'm Pollyanna. Everything looks beautiful to me, right? I do my best to avoid anything that's negative. But I couldn't give you an ROI. In Ninja, they told me, what I got out of it was never go introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Larry Barton. I'm in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come up in the conversation, and I will swear to you, it always does.
Right.
I've known for 20 years. They go, "Well, what do you do now?" And I go, "Oh, I'm in real estate." "You're in real estate?" So it just comes up naturally in a
Right.
conversation. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way, they've got to pull it out of you. You didn't pull it out of them. I always keep cards on me. Always keep cards on me. And so Frank and I do a lot of lunches.
Mm-hmm.
We meet with folks about other subjects, and the real estate comes up.
Sure.
And so we've just been blessed, Andrew, to have business that comes. It just keeps coming, and it's been really nice.
That's awesome. So one thing, I know we could talk forever about social media and doing that. The one thing that I've learned is consistency, and don't expect overnight success. I mean, obviously you could get lucky and go viral and blow up, but just consistently do it year after year after year, and it kind of just starts to pay dividends. But eventually I would recommend trying to track what your spend is and what it's returning, so just so you have a good grasp on what you're doing there. But consistency is the big thing. So how people see you, and then of course your branding and your messaging, which I love that you're the inspirational realtor. That's pretty cool.
But it was funny. It was like in the first 15 minutes, I said, "Well, what do you mean brand?" And anyway, but
Right.
we're talking about tracking expenses. I am doing that. I'm not an accountant by any means, but I do know when I spend money, so I'm keeping track of that. Time wise, I'm having so much fun making the videos at home, and I'll bring 5 or 6 sport coats down from upstairs, downstairs, and move the camera in different areas, with the ring on it. Eric
Yeah.
told me to do all this stuff, and
Yeah.
and I was reading these things, right? These inspirational things, and he said one day, he says, "You're like a robot." He's, "Why don't you just don't memorize it? Why don't you come up with something from your heart?" And I thought, man, I think I could probably do that. And so those have actually become more popular because they actually are about my heart. I think are from my heart. The first one was actually on gratitude. But Ninja really taught me so much about the writing the notes. Write 2 notes a day. Now, I can't tell you I write 2 a day. I may write 20 a week, but I don't necessarily write 2 a day because it's like making the videos. When the spirit hits you, it's okay. Go grab the sport coats. It's time to do
Right.
it. Or
Right. Right.
grab the note cards because it's time to start writing those notes. You're in the zone, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
In a good flow. A flow state is what we call it. Yeah.
a flow space. I like that.
Yeah. So we kind of like meshed all 3 of those topics together, but you did mention leverage before. So as real estate agents, you can be busy, but maybe not productive busy, right? So you try to leverage as much as you can. Where are you leveraging? How are you buying back your time to go meet with people and to network and to grow your business? What are you leveraging, and how are you doing? How are you doing it?
Frank and I found a fantastic, very experienced former Martha Turner employee to do our transactions. So we've got things. If we don't have things coming up, Frank's been nice enough to do mine because I don't like the paperwork. And he's
Right.
so good at it. But when we both have things coming up, he's on vacation. We turn everything over. CMAs, I turn them over to somebody that's got 30 years experience. I don't have 30 years experience.
Right.
Person does the CMAs. They're awesome. She's also a confidant. I pick up the phone and call and say, "Look, here's what's going on. Here's the situation." And so one of the things that Frank and I talk about is I have the Larry method of coming up with answers. It's called the blender method. So Larry goes and talks to 4 or 5 confidants.
Right.
And they can be in different parts of my life, from my church, from my country club, from different places that I'm involved. But I get subject matter experts advice, people I trust to the core, put it in the blender, and then
Yeah.
Larry comes out with his answer. And this transaction coordinator is phenomenal. She's brilliant, off the Richter scale. She's honest and direct. You never, ever wonder where you stand with her. But she'll drop what she's doing. She'll get a CMA out. She makes them look beautiful. And that's one area. The social media, I've certainly given that away and totally outsourced that.
Right.
We use Roxanne more on a ad hoc basis. Ooh, I said a name I shouldn't have. Anyway, we use her on a more ad hoc basis. And then, let's see, what other things? For now, that's all I can think of. Something else will come up. But those are the 2 main areas that we've outsourced. And as I said to you a while ago, if it's not making you money, if it's not making you happy, if you can somehow afford it, do it. Because that time, as you well know, I mean, you're the
Right.
master. That time you'll never get back. If you're not happy, how do you go be happy in front of your customers?
Right.
You're weighed down by whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's true just from what you like doing and what you're, good or not good at doing as well. But also from a business perspective, you're running a business at the end of the day, right? Helping people, and that's awesome. But also you're trying to figure out, is this the best use of our time? Because you want to remain in business so you can continue to help people. And if you're doing lower level tasks, it's tough to do sometimes. So those are some of the first things that we always recommend leveraging, getting help with paperwork that takes up 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or whatever.
That's with me.
According to you, if you had to fill out a listing agreement, it's like a 3-hour buyback, but now you can just send an email or however you communicate with whoever is doing it for you, and it just happens. So that's a great way to become lean and efficient and to buy back your time to focus on what is important to you, and that's the customers and building relationships and helping them accomplish what they want to accomplish, right?
You're very right. The other part is, now that I understand Martha Turner and the huge capabilities we have in our marketing department, right? I am using them more.
Mm-hmm.
I think to them, and they promise 7 days, and I will tell you, I've not had to wait on anything more than about 4 days.
Yeah.
They're very quick. We have some technical people inside. If I'm having trouble with any of the applications, or I can't get a video to go into a listing, I'm sending out using ActivePipe. You can actually put a video into your flyer that you're going to email out to the agents or to your sphere of influence.
Right.
So all this technology, they will answer in literally a few seconds. We also have videos, unbelievable videos that we've made of all the internal training that we've done. And those are, I will tell you, Andrew, one of the best things I ever did in the very beginning of my career, I was about a year into it, I guess. I'd just gone full time. And I went to one of our management, I won't embarrass them, and I said, I need a confidant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I need a confidant. I need somebody I can go to and talk about things, and I've picked you. And so he said, okay. And I said, I think, we hit it off. I said, the first thing I want to start off with is I want to meet everybody in operations. I want to meet the marketing people. I want face-to-face with everyone on maybe 30 minutes, but I want to understand what they're about, what they do, what they own. So I feel more a part of the company.
Yeah.
I would tell anybody out there, if you haven't met the staff that you work with, the staff that supports you, I think it's key to your success. They should know your face. They should know that you care for them, right?
Right.
Because in my world, I guess in everybody's world, in my first chapter 1, you have internal customers and you have external customers. Your internal customers are everybody that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
To co-op, to the MLS group, to management, they're all your customers.
Right.
You should treat them as well as you do your external customers that bring in money. Because without those internal customers, you'd never have the external customers, right?
Right.
So external customers, you may go a little more out of your way, but I don't know why, because your internal customers are so important.
No, I completely agree. And that translates into how you are with your external customers as well. Not to mention, we're on the topic of leveraging. You need to be able to understand what you have at you can leverage, and whether that's social media posting or CMAs. So the more you understand, the better you're going to be at business as well, with your like you called it, the internal team versus customers, and then the external customers will just reap in the rewards and the benefits of that effort, right?
Well, I'm in awe of you. I mean, you have a family, right? You have a team. You have a company that you work with, and a Sotheby's company that you work with. So all those, well, your team, your children, who are very important to you, as we've talked about, your wife, who's very important to you, and you have these podcasts that you've made time to help, folks like me, get our voice out there, whether or not it helps. My whole goal in all of this, Andrew, and it may or may not happen, is if there's one person that hears anything that I said that might add value to their life, then I'm a happy camper.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're all here for, is
Right.
to help each other. My old boss used to say, teamwork makes the dream work. And I used to, when he first started, I thought, how corny. Now, not in front of anybody, but I'd go, how corny. And now, I use it all the time because it's the truth. It is absolutely true. But
Right.
I'm in awe of how you juggle all of that, how you keep a great attitude, right? And how gentle you were. The other day we were talking, and one of your children walked in, and how gentle you were with them. And I really admire all of that. I don't have children, and I admire what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. And I'm glad that you're able to hear that side of me too. Not a lot of people do, but you happen to catch when Harper, my 3-year-old daughter, came in and wanted me to give her cereal or something when we were on the phone. But yeah, I mean, going back to making teamwork makes the dream work. It's the truth. I mean, a lot of people, and I was like this before I really realized the importance of it. I can do everything. I don't need it. I'm going to try to be the jack of all trades. But I started studying CEOs and successful entrepreneurs and people that built these amazing big companies. And it's the same narrative. The team, the team, the team. The CEO of Home Depot didn't build Home Depot by himself. He wasn't the cashier and the stock person and the, supplier, etc. He built this massive team, and I learned from them and tried to figure out, all these other people have done it before I have. Like, I'm not the first person. You're not the first person to try to build a successful company. So how can you mirror and emulate what they're doing to draw the same success, right? And it always comes back to, I had the best team around me. Couldn't do it without the team around what we're trying to do. Mission and vision play a big role in that too. You have to have the right people, obviously, kind of driving in the right direction, but it's all about the team. So keep that mindset, I think. That's how you're going to continue to grow and you're going to continue to build what you want to do, which seems like you've already had a great deal of success, a few years into this. But all the power to you. Let me ask you, we talked about Ninja, talked about social media. Are you doing any paid marketing advertisements or anything like that? Like, what else do you do to get your business in today's market?
So let's see. I mean, I go to the ballet, I go to the opera, I'm involved with live theater here in Houston, and I think, people want to be around positive people.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be around people with energy. And I would say positive people want to be around positive people. Energetic people want to be around.
Yeah.
There is that other group, the negative group, that wants to be around. And so you manage that. You manage, and you make sure you surround yourself with folks that energize you, right? And that also sell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, I feel like I know you pretty doggone well, and if, I knew somebody that was in your area, I would send them to you, because
Right.
we're building a trust, right? I mean, we've really gotten to know each other, and I appreciate it. It's the same with me reaching out to a couple of agents every day on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and they're responding back, and us having a conversation through Messenger or texting. I believe that I'm building relationships, and I believe it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
We may not have something for Houston for a long time, but it could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could happen. The lady in the Grand Caymans actually knew a guy I met 20 years ago that played the piano at the Westin, George Davidson, who had
Right.
the best CDs you've ever heard in your life for classical piano. He's now in real estate. So I asked her, I said, could you share his number with me? I called him. We had the best conversation. And so I just, this is going to sound so corny. Go out and be the very best person you can be every day. Go out and be a positive person. Go out and give a smile away. Go
Right.
out and do something nice for somebody. Connect somebody with somebody else that's not going to make you a penny, right? Connect them together.
Yeah.
Go
Oh.
out and just do the very best job you can every day, and it will come. It
Right.
will come.
Just show up, right? Just show up. That it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because I remember when we were speaking a few weeks ago about family and what we had going on, specifically with my wife Allison, and we made that connection where, so Allison, if you recall, she helps place adoptive children with adoptive parents, and then you were like, oh my gosh, I have a friend in the Houston, I think, or Texas area that almost does the same thing. I'm like, let's get those two together to see how they could help out. And it's just like, you never know what a relationship, who you meet in the supermarket or who you meet online. I think we met on Facebook, and now we're doing this together. You just never know what opportunities, yeah, what opportunities can arise. So I love that mentality. And I always, I'll take the meeting because it could lead to something great. If it doesn't, no big deal, 30 minutes, an hour out of our day. Obviously, you got to be a little bit careful with your time and not do that all day, every day. But it's just really fun for me because a lot of people in real estate also say this a lot, but every day is different, right? You never know what you're going to do. You never know who you're going to meet. And for real estate agents out there, the same is true for you never know who you're going to meet that might not be a now type of transaction or business, but they might know someone who might know someone, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. So the more you can kind of get out and have the right attitude and show up for them every day, they're going to see that. So that's kind of we're right on line with how we approach life and business and relationships.
You said something interesting a while ago about relationships, about being consistent, right? So if your Facebook page and your LinkedIn page and your Instagram page don't let people know you're a realtor, you're missing an opportunity.
Right.
Some of these folks I reach out to, like I did with you, I couldn't find they were a realtor at all until I saw their name on one of the private pages, and I said, "Oh my gosh, they're a realtor." I would have never known. So you got to get that out there for yourself, right? You're not screaming it; you're just making it known what you do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other piece is that the 6 degrees of connection, right? One of my favorite things in the world to do is not play that game, but basically it's a game. When you said about your wife, it was like going, oh my gosh.
Right.
My friend is a CEO, and they do adoptions. Oh my gosh, what? Maybe we could do something together. So about 20 some odd years ago, I went on a cruise to Japan. It was almost a month. I couldn't believe I was doing it. I was going with 3 of my best buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on a cruise, and there was a lovely couple there. And I won't mention their names. They're wonderful people, still friends. One of them had a birthday yesterday. And we got to talk to each other, and they said, hey, would you like to come to our place in Nantucket? And I said, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So Mother always taught me that, fish and guests smell after 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to see them, but I made my ticket for 5 days total. You arrive, but 3 days to stay with them.
Right.
And they said, could you stay a little bit longer? And I said, sure. And so, long story short, which I don't do very well, you've already found that out, they invite me to a party, and there is Jimmy and Roseland, right?
Wow.
And, you couldn't see them?
Yeah. Yeah. I said, wow. Is that former
President Carter.
President Carter? Cool.
And Roseland and me.
Wait, were those the friends that you met on the cruise, or that you got introduced to him through your friend? Okay.
Friends that I met invited me to a party. There were 40 people there, right? My hostess is sitting next to Jimmy on the right hand, which, as we all know, is that's the seat of honor. My host is at the right arm of Roseland, and so we all got to know each other. And Roseland and I talked. I found that I liked classical music. Well, I had just been to the Grand Caymans and met George Davidson.
Yeah.
I had bought all of his CDs. I sent one to the Carter Center in Atlanta. And by the way, if you've never been to the Carter Center, I highly recommend all the presidential libraries. But go there, have the best time, right? I'm sorry, I sent him the CD. Sorry about that. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, and it was inviting me to go snow skiing with the Carters for a once-a-year fundraiser they do.
Oh, wow.
Had to write a check. Flew to Atlanta, saw the inside of the Carter Center, but actually they were a private apartment. They took us all the private places. Got on a plane with 100 other people. I met a beautiful couple by the name of Jack and Jill Welch, not Jack Welch, but Jack and Jill Welch. And they live in Atlanta. We're still friends. Fly down there with them to go snow skiing and snowbird, Snowbird out of Utah. and had an unbelievable time. Met unbelievable people. It was a once in a lifetime experience, I thought. Then I get invited to the Carter Center to hear Rosen talk about mental health. Then I get invited to Plains, Georgia, to down there where their home is. Down we square dance. I square dance with both of them. So that's what I'm saying is here, right?
Yeah.
That be open and receptive.
Yeah.
Be that person with energy. Be that person that other people want to be around, and good things will happen. I mean, my whole life has been like that. And
Yeah.
my whole life has been blessed like that.
Yeah, I love that. So, Larry, I know we're coming up on time, but I always like to hear, going back to your first days, let's talk like transition, you're doing kind of both jobs. What's the one thing that if Larry today could communicate back to Larry, that Larry, before making the transition, that you would tell yourself about real estate today?
Well, in my case, find a great partner, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, don't let your ego get in the way of anything. Throw your ego away.
Yeah.
It's okay to have self-esteem, but get rid of that ego. And don't be afraid to help somebody straighten up their furniture, help them landscape their, for your clients, you do whatever. So
Right.
don't ever close yourself off with that ego. Don't let it get in the way. Don't assume that it's a negative. Let it play out. And don't ever, ever not say, I'm sorry, I'm misunderstood.
Right.
It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say I'm sorry, because you're dealing with very personal relationships.
Right.
Those are some things that, when things happen, you stop and it takes you aback, and you just realize you're dealing with another individual here.
Mm-hmm.
You're not dealing with a large corporation. You're dealing with an individual who has high emotion about selling or buying a home.
Right.
And you need to be part therapist, right?
Yep.
Part doctor, part, all the different things that come into play
Yeah.
in those roles. And it's an honor to be able to sell one's home. It's an honor to be able to show people houses. It is an honor. Whether it's hot in Houston or cold wherever you are, it's
Right.
an honor to be able to do what we do, because we truly make dreams happen. And I
Mhm.
did not realize that going into it, that I was going to be able to help people make their dreams come true, to help them open doors. And
Right.
I guess that would be the biggest thing, is to realize that you're helping somebody make a dream, and it's really important what we do.
Right.
It's a profession, and if you do it right, you give all of us a great
Mhm.
gift. If you don't do it to your fullest capability, then either ask for help or maybe do something else. But you give everyone a bad name in the real estate business if you're not giving 110%.
Yep, agreed. It's funny that you mentioned those two things, because we have core values on our team, and two of them are make no assumptions and hold yourself accountable every day. So I make mistakes still, in any of the companies that I'm working on right now. You make mistakes, and then your ego part too. I think that's interesting. I'm a lifelong learner now. Always learn a new, I'm always reading, always trying to learn something new, letting my ego aside, pretending like, 10 years ago, I was like, oh, I know everything and I can solve everything and I'm the one person that can do it all. The team constantly learn and then admit when you make a mistake. It's in the long run, in my opinion, I respect people who admit when they make a mistake versus trying to cover it up, and then from branding, whatever, just looks bad that way. But we won't go there. But I couldn't agree more with you, Larry. I know you're a super busy man and you have a lot of stuff going on. So I really appreciate your time. It was I loved every time we talk. I always have the best time. So thank you for spending an hour with me today, kind of hearing about your story. I love hearing how everyone gets started and why they love doing what they love, right? So Thank you so much for your time. Let me ask you just one last question. If anyone is in the Houston area, how can somebody get in touch with Larry Barton?
So email is Larry with one R, Lary .Barton at Sotheby's.realty. Phone number is 713-516-0221. And Instagram page is Larry with one R, Barton, one word, Realtor. Larry Barton Realtor, all one word. And in fact, go check it out. I would really appreciate it. I could use some more followers.
Yeah, we'll put all that information we'll put in the comment section of the episode. And then one last thing, you mentioned earlier that you send out a morning prayer text to 65 people. Can I assume it'll be 66 now or no?
You're right on, buddy. That's
All right, cool.
You know, it's interesting. Just one second. I'm sorry, but you know that prayer is a touch, right? And they're always
Right.
telling us, touch your sphere of influence, touch. And that prayer, I'm not doing it for those reasons, but it is a touch. And there are a lot of people out there that don't have a lot of contact with others. And
Right.
that one touch really might make their day. So
Yeah.
think about how you might touch more folks. Yes, it's social media. I didn't make up the prayer, but it does make a difference to a lot of people.
Right. Well, I look forward to it tomorrow morning then.
All right, sir.
All right, Larry. Nice spending this time with you, and I hope to talk to you real soon.
Same here. Sotheby's.
All right, take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.